Hi, I'm Bridget Eslinger with Health and Wellness Bootcamp, and today, of the episode 4 of the Health Warrior series, we're going to talk about what's leaking. So you don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. Hi and welcome back. I'm so glad you're joining me today. So before we dive into episode 4 of the Health Warrior series, let's recap what we've talked about so far in episodes 1, 2, and 3. We talked about how amazing our bodies are. We talked about inflammation, and we talked about our reducing our toxin load. And today we're going to talk about what's leaking. So curiosity is going to get the cat here. What do we mean by what's leaking? Well, I'm talking about our gut. So let's dive in and talk about what our gut is and what it really means to us and why it is so important. So there's 5 topics today when we talk about what's leaking. Exactly what is our gut and why it's so important to us? What is a leaky gut? What are the warning signs of a leaky gut? What are the triggers that can cause a leaky gut, and then steps that you can take so you can avoid getting a leaky gut? Let's dive in. So exactly what is our gut and why is it so important to us? Well, the gut above all is this middle section of our body, what some of us refer to as our belly, our abdomen, our stomach, our intestines. All of that is our gut. And it is so very, very important. That is where we take in and assimilate all of our food, where our food is digested, where all of the nutrients come from that help us stay healthy and nourish our bodies. So that's a pretty important role. The gut helps develop our immune system from birth. So I'm going to dive into this in a future episode where I talk about the immune system. But let's talk about this for just a brief second because I think it's so critical. When we talk about that the gut is developed and it's developed at birth, and that's where your immune system is developed, it's when you are brought into this world, you are implanted with what we call your microbiome, and that helps support your immune system. So when we talk about our good bacteria, the bad bacteria, how you're going to be susceptible to diseases, this is all implanted right from birth. And like I said, we're going to talk about that in a future episode, so you won't want to miss that. But that's a key point when we talk about gut and gut health and how healthy you are throughout your life. The gut is the largest endocrine organ. It secretes over 30 hormones. So when you think about our thyroid gland, estrogen, testosterone, all those are a big player, but your gut helps regulate how those hormones are distributed in your body, which is critical. The gut is also has its own brain. It's what we call, it has a second brain. And the reason why we say that is there are more neuron transmitters in our gut than there is our spinal column. So all that communication, when I talked about our bodies and how our bodies communicate, and we should pay attention to that communication, there is a centrical highway that runs from our gut to our brain. And like I said, there's more neuron transmitters in our guts than there is in our spinal column. That's pretty profound. The gut impacts nearly every system in our body, every organ in every system. The gut acts as the gatekeeper also and determines what enters our body from the outside world. Although this system resides inside of us, it is the gatekeeper of what gets inside of our body, if that makes sense. We're going to dive into that some more. The gut comprises, and I touched on this, 80% of our immune system. So again, that's for a later episode. It's very interesting and you don't want to miss that. So we will talk about autoimmune diseases and our immune system in a later episode. But just keep in mind that 80% of your immune system resides right here in your belly, in your gut, in your stomach area, in your midsection. So that's important to remember. We call that the seat of our soul, and we also call that the power source. And you've heard me say before that food is powerful. It can make you powerful or powerless, just depending on what you're eating in your diet. So let's talk about what types of diseases might you encounter if you have a leaky gut. Let me just read you some of these statistics. Over 170 diseases have been connected to gut health. Some examples are like allergies, asthma, Crohn's disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, autoimmune disorders, like I already mentioned. Over 70 million people in the U.S. alone have some type of gut health system problem. So chronic fatigue, adrenal fatigue, skin issues, brain fog, hormone imbalances. Remember I said it excretes over 30 different hormones. Mood swings, low libido, anxiety, depression, headaches, eczema, the list goes on. So you can kind of see how important the gut is and why we need to keep it healthy. So before we go any further, let's just talk a little bit about the gut. And when we say it's this midsection and it's all this stuff here in the middle of us, think of it as the pipes in your home. Right? Your pipes in your home are made to withstand certain things going through them. If you were to pour a toxic chemical through them every single day, would those pipes wear out sooner? Would their lifespan be shortened? Probably so. So again, think about when we're introducing things into your body, how they're being processed. If you think back to our previous episodes about reducing your toxin load, that's a prime example. We want to keep all the toxins out of our food supply, out of our environments to help keep us healthy. Again, your immune system resides in your gut. So, as we go through this, keep that in mind about those pipes, okay? So what is a leaky gut? One might ask. It is the gut wall. It has to be maintained in good health. So the gut lining is 1 cell thick. 1 cell layer thick. Now, when we think about a cell, that's as thin as a piece of paper, probably thinner than this piece of paper, that's protecting the insides of our body from the outside environment and what gets introduced. Now, the other fascinating thing in one of our earlier series, when I talked about how amazing our bodies are and how miraculous they are and how much they help us, is every 2 to 4 days, these cells are sloughed off and replaced. So in the matter of a week's time, you have a brand new cell layer all through your intestinal wall that's trying to keep you healthy. Back to our pipes. If we keep introducing bad things into those pipes every single day, it's going to be harder for those pipes to repair themselves if the pipes had that capability. Ours do every 2 to 4 days. So as those cells become damaged, new ones are generated. Our body does that for us, puts them in play to help keep us healthy and keep foreign invaders from coming on the inside of our body. If we are constantly in a toxic environment, eating foods that harm our intestines and our gut, they can't really repair themselves and keep us protected. So I hope that makes sense. So remember, every 2 to 4 days, those cells slough off, new ones are generated, and about every 7 to 10 days, you get a new cell lining all through the gut wall system. Pretty amazing. So the gut is designed to be a little leaky, okay, because we have to have the nutrients pass through our bodies to help keep us healthy. But we don't want foreign invaders leaking through, as I just described. So when that system breaks down and it becomes too leaky, food particles leak through that system. And that's something we don't want. Again, keep it in good repair. It'll help rejuvenate the cells every 2 to 4 days, and you'll be in good shape. So the gut, or the villi, or the villus is what it's called, is this web-like structure. And they're tight junctions that allow that to be a little bit permeable, a little bit leaky, okay? And it allows that nutrition to get through. Here, I'll do this maybe better so you can see. If that wall becomes too leaky and those villi spread apart too much, all those foreign invaders come in. That's a bad scenario. We need to keep those junctions very, very tight. And again, eating well is what we want. If those foreign invaders get past that barrier and into our bloodstream, we have what? a response, an immune response. And that response is typically inflammation. We talked about this in the prior episodes as well. So inflammation is our body's defense mechanism. It senses an invader. It says this doesn't belong. Your immune system reacts. It goes out and tries to fight that invader. So again, you want to keep those junctions tight, want to keep them healthy so only the good things seep through, okay? Number 3, so what are the warning signs of a leaky gut? Some of these things I already touched on. It could be food sensitivities or food allergies. Maybe when you eat a food, shortly after you eat a food, maybe you become gassy, maybe you become bloated, maybe you become a little nauseated. Those are communication mechanisms your body is sending you about the food that you may have eaten. Now again, sensitivities and tolerances and allergies all mean something different, and we covered those in an earlier episode. But that is one of the warning signs. Another warning sign, I just talked about gas, bloating, stomach cramping. Maybe it's inflammation in your bowels, also known as Crohn's disease. It could be an autoimmune disease, which that is an endless list of conditions. But again, it's that reaction that the immune system is having because those foreign invaders are seeping through those junctions that are no longer tight. It could be thyroid or adrenal gland issues, joint pain. That's another big one. It's, our blood travels all the way through our body, so that inflammation can settle anywhere in our systems. Maybe it's malabsorption issues. You're eating, but your body is just passing all that through, and it's not able to absorb it because there's an inflammation response in your body. Skin issues. You could have eczema, psoriasis, rosacea. All of those, again, are communication that there's something in the body that should not be. And just it's expressing itself in a way that you need to listen to, talk to your doctor about, find the root cause for that. And then the last thing, and this is one that often gets overlooked, and these are all signs that typically get overlooked when we talk about a leaky gut. And there's still scientific studies out there being done on this, and there's pros and cons to it, and some people believe in it, others don't. I'm going to leave that up to you to decide as I place these facts on the table. But the last one is mood swings. Can you think about this? Are you a stress eater? Maybe you're an anxious eater. Maybe it's the opposite. Maybe when you're stressed or anxious, sad, you don't eat at all. That is, again, those neuron transmitters in your gut that are talking to the brain all the time about what you should and should not be doing. Isn't that a great correlation? So next time you go to eat a food, either before or after, ask yourself, what were you thinking? What was your mood like before and after? And did that food have some kind of effect on you? So some triggers that cause a leaky gut that you can look out for. Number one, actually number 1 and number 2 are close firsts. So number 1 is gluten. Gluten is a protein that the body really struggles to digest, and I talked about this in our inflammation series as well. Sugar is number 2, but should be number 1 as well. Sugar is highly inflammatory to the body, and all forms of sugar, whether it's artificial sweeteners, processed foods, the options are endless. Read your labels and you will find sugars in almost everything you eat. Even whole fruits have some level of sugar, and when we have too much sugar in our bodies, it results in inflammation, and everybody is bio-individual and different in how they respond to sugar. So that's another key one. Hydrogenated oils, soybeans, canola, corn oils, all of those are highly inflammatory. And the reason for that is because they're so heavily processed. So the herbicides, pesticides, insecticides that they're sprayed with, how those are all harvested, those are amazing oils that are hard on the body. So pay attention to those and how your food is prepped and cared for. No packaged foods. This is another big one. I just mentioned this. A lot of it has gluten and a lot of it has sugar. Fast food restaurants, things that you don't know what's in the food supply or where that food came from, I would really question that. And triggers that are specific to you, as I just mentioned, I could eat something and it would not bother me. And maybe the person sitting next to me can eat it and they have terrible responses. Maybe they have acid reflux. Maybe they end up gassy, bloaty, nauseated. So again, it's bio-individual, and you have to really focus on those triggers and what is important to you and your body. How your body digests things and assimilates things is completely different, even if you're from the same family. So let's step back to when I said that imprint happens when we're born. Everybody is different, whether you're born, the normal way or you were born through a C-section. All those things come into play when our immune system and our gut health is established. So all that carries through the rest of our life. And that's just important to keep in mind when you're trying to figure out what triggers are specific to you. There are some tests out there that you can have done. They are called Igg Antibiotic Tests. These actually look for your food sensitivities or your food intolerances or your food allergies that you might be allergic to. Something to ask your doctor to run. It's not something they normally look for. This is kind of a specialized test, but I think if you talk to your primary care physician about them, explain to them you want to get to the root cause of just some of your symptoms instead of just addressing them through a bunch of antibiotics, they might be willing to run these tests for you. And specifically, if you're working with like a functional medicine practitioner, they're definitely going to know and understand what these are. So don't hesitate to ask, right? It's your body, you're in charge. So what do we do to stop a leaky gut? So some of the things I just described, a lot of the things we can do on our own just by eliminating the things I told you not to do on those warning signs. It's the food we eat. So let's go through these. I call them the 5 R's. So we want to remove the triggers. You want to rebalance your microbiome. You want to repair, reinoculate, and rebalance. So what do each one of those mean? So again, remove those triggers. It's pretty clear. Remove the food that's being disruptive to your immune system and to your gut. Replace the digestive secretions, including digestive enzymes, bile acids. These are all supplements that you can take. Again, work with your primary care physician to understand what those are and what your body needs. And repair your guts by giving them back the nutrients that they need to be strong and safe. Remember those cells that are trying to replace themselves every 2 to 4 days. That's important. They need nutrients to do that. And again, if they don't, your pipes become leaky all the time. The problem just compounds itself and you have a leaky gut and you don't feel good all the time. And that's not something we want for you. Reinoculate. This is probiotics and good bacteria. So again, probiotics, prebiotics, there's foods that fall into those categories, or you can take supplements that fall into those categories to help leaky gut. And then rebalance. And I think this one is probably, I'm going to say, just as important, if not more important, than the other 4. When we talk about rebalance, look at your lifestyle. What are you doing? What is your mood like? How stressed are you? All those things come into play. Now remember, those neuron transmitters in our gut are talking to our brains. So if we are stressed, anxious, depressed, sad, in a bad place in life, if our environments aren't good, all those feelings and emotions are being carried to our brain, which tell us, that's telling us what to do. And again, our stomach is a second brain, so it's going to work without knowing what our brain's telling it to do. We might be saying to ourselves, I don't want to eat that Oreo cookie, but our stomach is saying, I'm sad and that's going to make me happy and that's what I'm going to eat. And we do it. And then after the fact, we're sitting there going, why did I just do that? So those are some things you need to think about. One of the things that I found so amazing on my journey is when I was diagnosed with my autoimmune condition, mixed connective tissue disease, at the Center of Functional Medicine in Cleveland Clinic, one of the first things that they had me do, and this is amazing, is go on what's called an elimination diet. Now that sounds pretty scary in itself when someone says you're going on an elimination diet. That sounds like you just had your legs ripped out from underneath you. But it saved my life and it reversed my autoimmune condition. So I firmly believe in leaky gut. If you take 3 months, we talked about how amazing our bodies were. If you remember that, we regenerate our blood supply every, 90 days. You get a new layer of skin every 30 days. You get a new skeleton every 10 years. These cells replace them, your stomach lining cells replace themselves every 2 to 4 days. So if I can regenerate my blood supply in 90 days and I get new cell layers in my intestines in 2 to 4 days, and I go on an elimination diet and I only eat good, whole, fresh food, could my symptoms go away? That sounds too good to be true. I am walking proof of that. I did exactly what the Cleveland Clinic asked me to do. I went on an elimination diet, which is a prescribed diet by a physician. You get a list of food you can eat, and there's a lot of food we can eat, trust me. It just needs to be good, whole, fresh food, not packaged, not processed food, not fast food from a restaurant, not a carton that you warm up in the microwave or a pizza you throw in the oven. Cook your food. Shop the outer perimeter of the grocery store. Buy only whole, fresh fruits and vegetables, and organic if you can. That's most important. The other thing that they had me do that I thought was pretty amazing is journal my food and my mood. So every single day, I would wake up, I would jot down how I was feeling, what my mood was like. Was I having any symptoms? Was I anxious, stressed, mad, sad, depressed? I would write those down. I would write down the foods I was eating and the things I was drinking, and I tracked that for 90 days. I ate the food that they told me to eat on this elimination diet, and I tell you, 90% of my symptoms subsided, and I was blown away. Now, on top of this, again, these are triggers specific to you. You have to learn about your body, what your body needs to be healthy, and how you can repair your gut. And if you do have a leaky gut, which 9 times out of 10, back to what Hippocrates says, is all diseases begin in the gut. That is so true. If we allow those foreign invaders to escape the villus and get into our blood supply, and that blood is running through all of our system, and that inflammation is settling in places it shouldn't, and our body's doing the very best it can to remove those toxins from our body, but we just continually repeat, our body struggles to be healthy. But if you do that reset, now most diets, I think if you hear out there, and I hate the word diet. Diet is such a huge label. This is a lifestyle. But most diets, when someone's trying to sell you a diet, they say, go try this for 90 days. Go try this for 30 days. Some people are going to see some relief. You might lose some weight, maybe you're trying to gain weight, but whatever that is, you're trying a prescribed diet for a set amount of time, you're going to see some fluctuation in your body, and that is why. You're making a change to your system, and your body tries to do a reset. But if you do this in a lifestyle setting, your body is really going to be vibrant, and it's going to come back to life, and all those systems that we're struggling to operate or are going to be better. Back to our pipe analogy, you build a new home, you put these brand new pipes in there, you take care of those pipes, that home's going to last you for the rest of your life. This is our home. Our body is our home. It's our temple. We need to take care of this if we want to be around. If we continue to put all these harsh chemicals in our food, on our foods, and we eat them, or in our environments, and our moods aren't right because we're not eating right, all that is so correlated. I feel the best I have felt my entire life. You know, I'm in my late 40s. I feel better now than I did when I was in my 20s. So it's amazing. If you're serious about your health, really dive into this. Do a log for 30 days. I'm not asking you to change your diet. I'm asking you just to journal your food, journal what you feel like, journal your symptoms, and see if you can find a correlation or find a trigger that's specific to you. And then do another experiment. Maybe you eliminate some gluten. Maybe you eliminate sugars from your diet. Do that journaling and see if some of your symptoms subside. So my parting words here are the gut and what that might mean. Give unconditional trust to your body. When it is talking to you, when it's communicating to you, when those symptoms are presenting themselves, you know, whether it's a skin condition, you have an ache, a pain, you get a diagnosis, whatever that is, it's a communication tool. It's a warning that, hey, we need help. I need you to stop doing whatever you're doing so we can be healthy. So gut is give unconditional trust to your body. It can and will repair itself if you give it the tools it needs to be healthy. I promise you that. I've lived it and breathed it, and my autoimmune disease is in remission. I don't have symptoms from it anymore, and I could not be more grateful for those 90 days that I took to change my life. So I hope this information was helpful for you. Just to recap, we learned what a leaky gut is, what you can do to repair your leaky gut, and things that you can eliminate so you don't get a leaky gut in the future. If you've enjoyed this video, I hope you subscribe to this, hope you give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends and family, somebody who can benefit from this information. Next month, we are going to talk about the immune system and autoimmune diseases in episode 5 of the Health Warrior series. Be whole, and I'll see you next month. Hi, I'm Bridget Eslinger with the Health and Wellness Bootcamp. I'm a certified functional medicine and integrative nutrition health coach. And today we're going to talk about what's a leaky gut. Maybe you've heard this term, maybe you've been diagnosed with this term, but I want to cover it and talk about it today. So a leaky gut, right? Our gut is this midsection of our abdominal cavity. It's where we take in all the food and assimilate it, get all the nutrients, and it does great things for us. They have tight junctions in there, and these are called the villi or villus. We want these somewhat permeable. We want food to be able to pass through there. But if these villi get too large and those areas become too big, then food particles and things that should not be in our blood supply pass through, and that creates an inflammation response, and that's what we don't want. We want just to keep them tight, keep them healthy. And to do that, our body does a great job of replacing this cell lining, which is only 1 cell thick, which is thinner than a piece of paper. So think about that. You have all these little villi in there, and they're a tight junction, 1 cell thick. They replace themselves every 2 to 4 days. So about every 7 to 10 days, you get a completely new lining. And if we eat right, take care of our moods and our environments, and stay healthy, our body will nourish us correctly. But if we don't, and we introduce a lot of toxins in our body or in our environment, or our moods are way off and we're stressed and anxious and sad and depressed, all this just goes down the drain. Literally, these pipes have to stay in the utmost best condition for us to be healthy. So let me just give you a little analogy. Did you ever play Red Rover as a child? Right? Everybody held hands, and they held hands tight, and they said, Red Rover, send Bridget right over. And so that person runs over, tries to break that chain. Now, sometimes they could probably keep somebody out depending on how strong that link was. But other times, that link was broken and they broke through the chain. So does that make sense? This is what the villi or villus is doing for us when we have food particles or toxins in our system that are trying to escape and get into the blood supply. It's keeping the outside from the inside, even though it's on the inside. It's doing a great job for us, and it's trying to keep us healthy. I hope you've enjoyed that tip for today. I hope you understand a little bit more about what leaky gut is and what you can do to help keep yourself safe. Have a great day and be whole.